Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 30th, and today we have the earnings from some of the biggest names, some of the biggest tech names today. So that's going to be pretty dominant on the market action. But in addition to that, the Republicans are basically saying there's not going to be a stimulus bill, which is pretty crazy. We'll see how the market reacts to that, although so far it doesn't seem like it's a huge disaster. Usually it's like, we need the stimulus, so we're going to throw a fit if we don't get it. That's not happening yet. But then, in the meantime, GDP coming up in 5 minutes here. So let's go to the charts. So here in the E-mini, pretty decent rally coming off of the FOMC, a rally that I don't think really made a whole lot of sense and was based largely on positioning and retail traders just wanting to be long. So we push all the way up, and then overnight we come back. I'm wondering, is there anything else other than the Mark Meadows saying that we're basically not going to get a bill? Didn't really get a whole lot. Nope. I think it was largely that. Now, if we come over to the treasuries are just still going. A pretty strong up day on what, Tuesday? And then yesterday they ended up a little bit higher, and now overnight they're a little bit higher again. It just keeps going. Gold stumbled a little bit yesterday, and overnight coming back even more. And I think that part of this was when Powell said that we're more likely to face deflationary pressures, not inflationary pressures. Ergo, why own golds? I think that was the reason for that one. Oil also down a little bit. And the currencies, well, the dollar continues its decline, this time going down to 93.39 as the euro increases. I do think at some point there's going to be some mean reversion in that trade because, second wave concerns in Europe, China, the UK, etc. So, for the news, we are expecting GDP. Where is it? GDP growth rate quarter over quarter. We're looking for an estimate of negative 34.1. My oh my. Okay. So let's turn on the text to speech. How are you guys doing today? Cool. Let's make sure our news squawk is on full blast. Working. No, kidoking. Let's see, anything on Twitter here? Nothing too interesting, mostly just the market ear overnight. The Patero principle universally governs trading in all trading. That means that 10 to 20% of your trades will produce 80 to 90% of your profits. Never heard of that principle. Okay, we got a minute. This could be wild in the treasuries here. Let's see here. Well, they're already long, but they're not too long. I don't think that it's safe to try and take them with stop limit orders, so we're just gonna have to play it by ear. Okay. Slightly better than expected. Jobless claims pretty close to in line. GDP price index -2.1 versus 1.1. GDP price index -2.1 versus estimated 1.1 is giving me pause on this trade. In fact, oh shit. E-mini did have a good spike up at first and coming back on it. Kind of coming up on the VWAP there and bouncing a little bit. I guess the VWAP is at 32.30, but Devil's claims rose to 1.43 million, pointing to the leveling off of the recovery and the higher downward risk, says Mohammed El Rain. Yes. Hmm. Those orders at 30 pulled away really fast, didn't they? Oh, Donald Trump's tweeting something made China virus flare-ups in many of the countries that the fake news was touting as doing so well. Some of these countries are now disaster. Lamestream media doesn't want to report this. Also, highly inaccurate numbers being reported by many other countries. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on here. It's going to be difficult for them to move beyond 30.5, but it's doable. Okay. Those clicks are coming from Treasury, or it's from the E-mini pulling some offers.
Jeff says, "Wanna know why our bonds going to Mars?"
I don't think they're going to Mars, but look at that. Look at that bid at 30. He's trying to pressure him. I think the trade here is you just go long the bonds because the E-mini is a little too uncertain, but that GDP price index thing says that hey, they might need to ease more in order to get the inflation rate up, right? Like if they're ever going to get into that like overshooting inflation rate, it's going to take a lot. So that's why I flipped around. And I believe why the treasuries are pushing the highs so aggressively. And they're kind of right at the sellers' stops, so they're kind of trying to pressure them. Not enough people just crossing over and hitting into 30.5 though to make it happen. But kind of a perfect spot to stop them out and maybe make it to 1,400 and 140 even. 140 even. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Wow. I got a terrible spot in line on that one. 1,500. So I was not the only one. need to change something here really quick. Oh, okay, cool. So I got filled there. I'm gonna leave this one at 28.5. In fact, I might just right here.
Jeff says it looks like they are rotating into bonds and out of stonks as of London Open.
Yeah. So they did take 30.5 of them. How far do you think they'll go without us? On that one, I could have left it on.
Emilio
I
says,
didn't
"Hi
really
Seth,
want to take a
is
lot
there a
of
video
risk.
where you explain your strategy? Or could you elaborate about it?"
So, the thing is, Emilio, is that how should I put this to you? My strategy has to do with how I interpret the economic conditions and is not necessarily I see a specific setup sort of a thing and that's where I want to get in and that's right. So to make a video to elaborate on the strategy wouldn't really help or make a lot of sense. It's something that you kind of have to watch, as time goes on. So just to give you an example though, what I would be trying to take if I was a new person from what I just did there was that we had some news. I saw that they were slightly long in the treasuries, and then the big number that we were looking for, the GDP number, was better than expected. So I went short when they ticked down. Now they ticked down, and then I realized that the price index was good. Or sorry, it wasn't good. It was negative. Let's not call it good or bad, but it was negative instead of positive, and that was very different from what the market expectation was. And that is something that is going to be that's going to move treasuries up. So I immediately cut that trade. I should have done it faster. I should have been more aggressive about it. And then I flipped around, right? But I wasn't too sure about it, so I didn't want to take a whole lot of risk. So I basically took the 2 and basically scratched it, right? But that was my reading of the news, and now I'm sitting here going, okay, well, they're kind of at a critical line where where the sellers are really getting squeezed. They could certainly move up, but I don't know what the risk reward on that really is. So I'm going to hold off. I'm going to see if they can come back, because there's a chance that they could come back to 28, right? So that's why I did what I did. But it was a reading about the news, because I knew that the price index is an important number to the treasury, right? And I know the setup, right? The equities are going to be driven largely by the earnings that are coming over tonight, whereas the treasuries are going to be driven more by this news. So I'm more interested in trading the treasury. Does that make sense? And then you can see how I kind of fool around with the Q, right? Like on this one, 28.5, I didn't get filled, but I have a good spot in the queue. So if they come back, you know, now if they come back meaningfully, I might want to try and take this as she goes, and then just take the 2 on the way back. But is there a really good chance that they'll trade 28.5 again if they do? So it's point of control, right? That's how I'd explain it. But to further to kind of end all of that, I am not a believer in technical analysis.
Emilio says understand, interesting. So you mostly trade on news then? Because you can't scalp reading long-term economic news.
Well, yes and no, because we can certainly trade based off of longer term news and the sentiment and so forth. Like I can come in and I can read that the sentiment in treasuries is long because of concerns of disinflation. Even without that news, we might be able to say that that's driving the price action on that particular day. And that's going to make a significant difference to me as to what direction I'm going to go. And in that case, I'm going to need something a little bit extra to tell me that it's actually going to move in the way that I want. So that might be a situation where I will look for an extreme in positioning. Like if I only want to buy, so I'm going to look for some extreme in positioning where they are, they're down too much, essentially. They're too short, and then I want to buy it on the expectation of those shorts having to unwind. Donald Trump tweeting again with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good. 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. Why are you saying that, Donald? Don't say delay the election. Oh, gosh. That's going to cause... Oh, my gosh. I don't think that will move markets, but what? That's like the most disruptive thing you could say. Delay the election. He's a fascist. He's gonna try and remain in power forever. Is that a trial balloon? Like, I can't believe he just said that.
Emilio says okay, so if for example, economic news say, up, you look for an entry on the DOM. What would indicate such an entry for you?
Well, okay. So, first of all, if, when I take my reading on the news and it says up, I want in, right? Like I make the decision I want in. Now I have to look at the positioning too. Remember it's the fundamentals and the market's positioning are the two most important things that I'm looking at right now, at least. But then once I've decided that I'm going to get long, then the question is where, right? It's not necessarily so much as of a signal as it is based on the current liquidity where. Okay. So right now, if I wanted to go long, would it make more sense to put a limit buy at 31 or to hit into the market at 31.5? Well, it's kind of flipping back and forth, right? That 31.5 did pull. Okay, so now it's 300. maybe I would hit into 31.5 and try and take the edge, right? Take the edge, see if it holds. It's not quite holding. Okay, there you go. So it held, right? Now let's do it again. If I really, really, really wanted to buy right now, I don't think that you should, frankly, but if I really, really wanted to buy right now, what would be the better price? Well, since it's flickered back and forth at 31.5 a couple of times and there's less liquidity at 31.5, I think that I have a pretty good chance of getting filled there. So I'm going to put my limit order at 31.5. Maybe they leave you behind, though. I don't know.
Emilio says okay, thanks for explanation, Seth.
It looks like that uptrend is pretty strong. So there's not a lot of sell orders coming back the other way. Kind of regret taking my my little scratch at 30.5 now because they did push through quite aggressively. Yeah, so I already see the squawks are picking up on it too. U.S. President Trump calls for delay of U.S. election. Well, he didn't call for the delay of the U.S. election. He just asked the question. But that's the way that they're all going to play it, is President Trump calls for delay of election. Why would you say that? Why? Already. Oh no, wait. That's the other tweet that he made. Where's the new one? There we go. That's what are Donald Trump supporters saying? Tendy's status dropped. Yeah. The madman win there. So the Donald Trump supporters think that everybody will freak out and maybe they will start saying the virus must not be so bad because we don't want to delay the election. That's what they're saying. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you would have gotten filled at 31.5 if you had left your limit order there, right? They're trying to squeeze them into 140 even, but they haven't really bitten yet. Well, actually, take that back because there was 2369 win in there. Actually, I'm actually surprised that it's been 10,000 already at 31.5. Yeah, and they're floating right in there. Okay, well, this is doing something that I haven't seen before with my look here because typically when they get to this line here, they're going to think about turning around, but they can go through it and the line will move up. In this instance, the line has not moved up. They just went through it and the line is still there. Let's go move this up. They are pushing through because the E-mini is starting to look really negative. I don't think, uh, I don't know if that tweet really matters, but they are not happy about it. I think that is from that tweet. Going to change the name of the stream. I'm going to say Trump floats election delay. Because they are just hitting them, aren't they? Okay, 3217 was an area that we had spent a lot of time at yesterday. Hydrochloroquine, Benghazi, demon sperm. The whole chloroquine thing is just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Okay, so something's going on here. I guess what has happened is because there hasn't been many sellers in here.
Jonathan says at Seth, you think the worst is over. Economically, seems like almost every economist only predicts a 2-quarter recession.
I don't know. You know, that's probably something beyond my abilities to predict, but I am very concerned about some sort of a, you know, double dip sort of a thing. Because one of the things that is happening, I think that in the near term, here's the thing that I would watch is there is concerns over a second wave in other countries. The United States basically had its second wave, and probably the places that you're going to be most concerned about, California and Florida, have basically been hit. So, of course, there's a lot of places in the United States that have yet to be hit, but they're going to be in rural areas and it's not going to be so bad. Okay. But that is not the case in Europe, China, the UK, etc. So, what you're going to start to see is a rise of cases in Europe, essentially. Probably first, well, it's already happening in Spain. And then the next place that I think you want to watch is Germany, because Germany is very open and will get people coming through, right? We're also seeing a rise in cases in China. So you're going to see the political narrative flip here soon, because it's going to be like, the United States actually didn't do so bad. It was just the timing. And now these other countries are being hit and they're doing about the same, if not worse, than the United States in dealing with it. You will get this narrative flip. So if that happens, Donald Trump will probably start to do better in the polls because of the economy and better handling of better scores on handling of the coronavirus. Okay. If that happens, I think what you will see is violent protesters, especially the guys in Portland and Seattle and so forth, are going to pick up in activity again, right? The more likely that Donald Trump is to win, the more upset those people are going to get. Okay. So now at that point, how does that weigh on the economy? Well, if we have stimulus, I suppose we could continue to go up. I don't know if we're going to get the stimulus or not at this point. I'm honestly starting to think we just might not get it. Right? So difficulty with the stimulus, slow down in Europe, slow down in China again. What if China has to shut down more areas, right? Remember how bad it was when China shut things down originally, right? And if China has to shut down more areas, that's going to be bad. So you kind of put all those things together, and then you kind of go and you look at the timeline. Okay, timeline, September. That's going to be a time period where there's going to be a little bit of pressure from the bonds. I mean, the interest rate is so low right now that when that new issuance comes in, it's going to really, really pressure the longs, and you could see some spikes in interest rates that really spook the markets, right? So that's where I'm a little bit concerned about in the future of there being some downturn. Now, the caveat to that is that if you have a downturn like that, it doesn't necessarily have to be awful. It might not be anywhere even close to the March lows. Frankly, I think that the March lows were excessive and were driven primarily by people messing around with the circuit breakers, and that we went far deeper than we were ever really justified to go. So, probably there will be some downward movement, but I don't know if it'll be crazy. Okay, so we have now breached the weekly low, and I don't know what to do because I want to be short the E-mini, but I just can't do it here. The dollar continues to be weak.
Uzi Knesset says Wall Street wants all that retail stimulus money, boy.
Yeah. I don't know if that's why they're coming down right now, but that's probably a significant part of it as well. For sure. Because there's no way. Donald Trump's, what do you call him? Executive guy, basically said that he doesn't think the bill is going to happen by Friday. Like, straight up, it's not going to happen by Friday. As far as I can tell, it's not going to happen. So, if that's what the deal is, and the market rallies today because they want to buy FANG stocks, right? Does Congress really have an incentive to pass a stimulus? Oh, well, we went off the edge of the cliff and the market doesn't seem to care. Maybe they don't need stimulus. That's what they're going to say, right? If you want that stimulus money, you got to fight for it, right? Like we did last time. Oh, we need the stimulus. Panic, panic. If you don't pass the stimulus, the economy will grind to a halt. Now I'm seeing cost basis move up. Now over here in the E-mini, I also have an issue, which is that they have just gone so far that the positioning doesn't really matter anymore. So I can't
Uzi Knesset
really
says
predict
now
where
I
they'll
mean
turn.
with record jumps in retail accounts opening and people dumping their Trump bucks into the market. It's gonna crash a bit to collect that money first, lol.
Yeah, that could be too. And that's another thing is I just don't see how you get so many people moving into the market and not get a market top. Like, because where's the money going to come from for the next wave of buying? Right? It's not going to come from the growth because it's leveling off. Everybody's in. They're going to sell it, And these retail traders are really just kind of exacerbate the volatility when it comes, right? So I think that if we do have a downturn, it'll be really aggressive.
Uzi Knesset says lots of dumb money buying overpriced shit at the worst possible time, lol.
Right. Marky Elias saying Trump cannot delay the election. Only Congress, through a new law, could do so in any event per the U.S. Constitution. His term expires on January 20th. This can't be moved, period. Yeah, so they're already... Can you see how they invent things in their heads? He was floating an election delay. He did not say, I am going to unilaterally delay the election today. But that's what they seem to have heard. because they're already arguing about whether or not he has the power to do so. So now he's going to come back and he's going to say, well, I'm recommending it to Congress. You either need to delay the election or you need to, fix the, what was it? The mail-in voting. He's right, though. If we have the election with the mail-in voting in the state that it is right now, it's going to be an embarrassment. It'll be such a mess on election day because you looked at some of these runoff elections that we had recently that had a bunch of mail-in voting in some of these eastern states, and they were complete disasters. Like, they didn't know the result of the race for weeks afterwards, and massive numbers of ballots were discarded or disqualified. Like something like 20% of them. How is that? How can you do the presidential election on that? You get what I mean? So he's right. But I'm wondering, the people on the Donald think that he's just doing it to scare the Democrats so that they will not make such a big deal about the coronavirus. Well, that might actually happen that way. I don't
Uzi
know.
Knesset says, oh, my FB feed is shitting itself, lol.
I bet. I mean, you heard me when as soon as I read that, I'm like, come on, man. Why are you gonna throw that bomb in there? Okay, so notice that at 140 half, only 307 contracts to sell through it, and they immediately stack 1,000 on top of it. So this is collapsing back very quickly as the E-mini finds some support and bounces back. Let's come back and look at the Donald Trump supporters. There was only like 5 comments when I looked before. I bet you there's probably more now. Wow. Yeah, see the top one is, oh crap, this man's onto something. I think he's stirring the pot. He knows talks of delay triggers them badly, and he specializes in triggering them. He also does this when he wants to change the national debate. It's going to change the national debate, that's for sure. He's going to rile them up. I really can't think of anything that would trigger liberals more than the thought of delaying the election. Okay. So that time they pulled and triggered my order, but it didn't fall all the way through, which is not necessarily how I want to get filled, but I think I might be okay. Yeah, so here's somebody posting like here's the line that you take to trigger them. Considering the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic necessitating a continuing shutdown, mail-in voting isn't a stringent enough precaution. Think of the valiant postal workers and election volunteers, particularly people of color in underserved communities. For the
Winston's
sake of our
mom says, well,
democracy.
that tweet last night about suburban housing being safe, a la Archie Bunker should do trigger everyone if the delay tweet doesn't seal the deal, and good morning.
Oh, I didn't see that one. For the sake of our democracy and the health of our most vulnerable, we must postpone the election until a vaccine has been developed and made widely available, preferably through universal health. And he says it hurt to type that. It hurt to read that. But that is where they're going. That's what they think. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, iceberg at 148. You know what? I'm not too concerned when I see a lot of volume trading at an even number. That's kind of the run-of-the-mill stuff. There we go. Come on, hold an offer. I guess not. It's going to be harder than that, apparently. Mm-mm-mm. Do you think how much forethought do you think went into that tweet? Okay, well, they didn't clear through 100 what through 140 quite the way that I wanted. I think that if I was to go back and do this again, I would have tried a whole half instead. I'm thinking on it now and I'm thinking, you know what? Doing that at a price like 140 is a bad idea. So let's try it at this one and see if we can improve our position here. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I wonder how much forethought went into that. Was that was that a spur of the moment thing, or was he thinking about that and that was an intentional strategy? I'm thinking the former because I have a hard time seeing any of his, um, any of the people around him saying thinking that that's a good idea to float that idea, right? So dangerous, straight out of the authoritarian playbook. They're so triggered. It's hilarious, guys. Now look at that. I'm probably going to get an easy fill here at 140. Well, yeah, there you go. Cool. So that worked well.
Winston's mom says today, July 30th is National Fathers-in-Law Day. If anyone has leftover July 29th National Chicken Wing Day wings, you can regift them. M. Brewer says 3+ years in and 153,220+ dead in 5 months, 47+ million unemployed. Obama's bull market is dead because of Trump's ignorance mixed with his arrogance.
You say so. I don't think that makes any sense at all, Brewer, to be honest. Like, if Obama was still president, the virus would still happen. It would probably, actually, frankly, the virus probably would have hit the United States sooner because he would be more
M.
reluctant
Brewer says
to
the
close
highest
the borders.
unemployment rate ever in America's history. The top 400 wealthiest people pay a lower tax rate than the working middle-class American for the first time in America's history.
So let's, because this is serious analysis, right, in the markets here. So let's do the serious political analysis on this, okay? Obama's still president. He had a third term. Or Hillary Clinton was president, okay? Virus still would have broken out. Still would have taken over in China. Virus still would have spread to Europe into Italy. And ergo, virus still would have moved over to the United States. Actually, might have gone through faster because Obama or Hillary probably would have been more reluctant to shut down all of the travel. Because, when that happened, they were all telling Donald Trump that that's racist and so on and so forth. So that probably doesn't happen. China still shuts down. The United States still shuts down. Economy is still harmed. So to try and blame it on Donald Trump is just blatant political nonsense. And we all know it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Come on. So the recessions happen. It's a natural disaster, right? It's a natural disaster. So what you're saying is just silly. Don't come in here and just spread political propaganda. We want to have a serious discussion about the future, right? Right.
Uzi Knesset says the people who advocated and still do, for lockdowns and shutdowns, the things that caused economic disaster, now blame Trump for economic disaster. Uzi Knesset says small brain take.
Maybe. Does Mr. Brewer think that we need to remain shut down and further harm the economy? Because then you have a point. I'm surprised, though, that he didn't come in here warning us about how Donald Trump is an authoritarian dictator and that he really is going to try and stay in power for as long as he can. Why didn't you go with that one, Brewer? You could have... that would have been way more fun at the very least. Let's see here. What's Shep saying in Discord? Allowing mail-in just gives the green light for fraud. We have no real way of stopping this, which is a shame. We can do brain surgery, but we can't limit voting to people that are still alive and only allow one vote per person. It's going to be a shit show.
Uzi Knesset says, how do you stop virus? Lock everyone down, but that causes economic disaster. Trump.
I think that everybody's going to go to the polling location on election day just like normal. Remember, folks, 20% of mail-in votes are disqualified because they don't meet that match the signature on file. 20%. Huh? So if I were you, I would go to the poll on election day. Huh? And people will say, "Oh, it's too risky." Well, worth the risk in my opinion. Worth the risk in my opinion.
Uzi Knesset says 100%.
So, are they going to delay the election? No. And does Donald Trump think that they actually would? Probably not. I really don't think he believes that's serious, right? I think what he was really saying there was, or let's just not do mail-in voting. You get what I mean?
Live Action says, can you see my prior post or was it banned?
Let's see. The last one I see from you, Live Action, is...
Live Action says Obama worst president in history emo.
Yeah, that was the last one I see from you. You put one before that and then got banned? I don't see it. Okay. So the E-mini's still kind of recovering, but it really looks like a bear flag at the moment. Not that that means anything, but because that's the expectation from people, I bet you that what's going to happen is there's going to be a little bit of a sell, and then they will pop up and maybe a better recovery. But we got like 10 minutes to the open, so the pattern may just not matter at all.
Winston's mom says, the one time I observed a comment being
Really?
removed by YouTube, it was flagged as being removed by Google moderators.
Okay, Donald Trump's tweeting again. Kate Brown, governor of Oregon, isn't doing her job. She must clear out and in some cases arrest the anarchists and agitators in Portland. If she can't do it, the federal government will do it for her. We will not be leaving until there is safety. This contradicting the reporting yesterday that they had negotiated a withdrawal. I think that really what they should be saying is that they have negotiated a working together, not necessarily that federal agents will disappear. But if they do work together and Oregon police do their job, then won't be any reason for the
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says, if Donald Trump took the coronavirus seriously from the start, and it still spiraled out of control, he could have legitimately postponed the election, but no way he can do that now. Winston's mom says, floats election delay, the air moves like a river and carries the clouds with it, just as running water carries all the things that float upon it. Leonardo da Vinci.
If he had taken the coronavirus seriously from the start and it still spiraled out of control, he could have legitimately postponed the election. I don't know. I don't think that he wants the election postponed. Right? Read his tweet again. Let's go and read his tweet again, all right? And I'll explain to you why I believe that.
Live Action says, see the delay, review perhaps, before my post was audible.
Oh, I got you. I just didn't read it. Mail-in voting is already proving to be a catastrophic disaster. Even testing areas are way off. The Dems talk of foreign influence in voting, but they know that mail-in voting is an easy way for foreign countries to enter the race. Even beyond that, there's no accurate count. Okay? And then he talks about it again with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good. 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote? ? Okay? So, what is he saying? He's saying we can either delay or no mail-in. Okay. There's a third option. There's actually a third option. Okay. So these two result in fair election, according to Donald Trump. Okay. Okay. But there's another option, and that is do nothing. And what does that result in? Fraud. That's what Donald Trump is saying. I'm not endorsing his opinion. I'm just saying this is what he's mapping out for you guys, right? So, this one obviously cannot be allowed because fraud. Okay. So, if you're a liberal, which ones of these do you take? Delay or no mail-in? Well, there's no way you're going to delay the election. You want him out. So you're going to go this way. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to say, hey, we should just get rid of mail-in voting so that we can have a fair election. That's the point he's trying to make. Is he saying, I would like to delay the election? I don't think so. I don't think he wants that. Be very, very surprised if he wanted that. Right? Interesting.
Uzi Knesset says what as, take the virus seriously, even mean.
Well, that's a good question, Uzi, because I really don't think that anybody would have done it sooner. Maybe sooner by like a few days, but like this, like that it should have been 2 weeks earlier argument. I really don't think that anybody would have done that. I really, really don't. And in fact, I would argue that I think that they went about the shutdowns the wrong way. I think that what they should have done is they should have said, if you have a certain number of cases per 1,000 people, then you shut down. So the only place that would have shut down would have been New York, and they completely shut down, cleaned the subways out. And that was the big thing, is they didn't really clean the subways. New York cleaned the subways right away. Don't let people that are sick back into the nursing homes. You don't worry about precautions or anything like that. You don't let them in there in the first place. Okay. Then things would be very different, right? But at the time, just remember that at the time that we're talking about, that 2 weeks earlier, when everybody says if Donald Trump had taken it more seriously, Nancy Pelosi was saying that this was all fear mongering and that they didn't have anything to worry about. Cuomo and the guys in New York were like, hey, you should totally go to the St. Patrick's Day parade and, all of this other stuff. Don't stay home. There's no risk. Okay. So how can you expect Donald Trump? Like the thing is that the Trump administration was more cautious about it than the Democrats were at the time. I think that we just kind of have to accept the fact that a shutdown is very politically difficult and that the conditions to get a shutdown just didn't exist until they actually did it. That's my thought.
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says well explained. Winston's mom says, floats, hope and trust will more reliably keep a man afloat, while fear is more like to sink him. Dean Koontz, Odd Apocalypse. That is an excellent summer fun 2-tissue hanky read.
I'm going to laugh if all of a sudden there's all of these proposals and public push to, make sure that people can go to polling locations safely. Of course, you know what they should be doing, right? You know that they're going to do the opposite, but what should they be doing? Increase the number of polling locations, right? Increase the number of polling locations so that you have less people at any one spot, and it therefore reduces the risk of spread. And then I think the next thing would be that you would give people a time. You wouldn't force it on them, but you would say, please come at between 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning if your name starts with an A, B, or C, right? That's the next step that they should be doing. I think that you want people to come to the polls on election day. I don't think that this mail-in voting everywhere thing is going to look good. Not with 20% of ballots being thrown out. No way.
Live Action says this pandemic started with one person. Shut postpone inevitable destroying economy with hopes this will get Trump out emo. RJ Wheel says national holiday.
You don't even necessarily have to make it a national holiday. You just say that you give them the option. Or I mean, like, your boss is required to allow you, so. Okay, so there is some decent selling on the open. It's actually not significant in cumulative delta, believe it or not.
1,000 subs
Well,
before the
okay,
end of
so
quarantine says by take it seriously I mean in the way that New Zealand and Australia did. In Europe we lagged behind, but since May we've been leading the way. In the UK we are finding less than 700 cases a day.
I don't necessarily agree that New Zealand and Australia took it more seriously than other people did. I think that the reality is that they're just a lot less connected, right? The number of planes coming into Australia every day, and especially New Zealand, is way less than the United States, right? Like, there's no way that the United States was going to prevent it from coming over, fortunately. I mean, even if they had shut down all travel. Yeah.
Uzi Knesset says it's a whole lot easy to mitigate a pandemic on islands with populations smaller than the average U.S. state.
Okay, so now here's another interesting thought that you got.
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says Australia. China is a major travel route mate.
So you're right that there is a lot of travel between Australia and China, but it's going to be specifically travel between Wuhan, right? Because what happened was they wouldn't let people travel out of Wuhan into other parts of China, but they did let them travel to other parts in the world. But Australia did have some cases. I think one of the things is that when there was the initial breakout, it was summer there, right? So that helped. That seemed to help a little bit too, because Australia did have a breakout. It was a very small breakout, but they did have a breakout, right? Actually, we should come in and look at some of those numbers. Let's come to the dashboard that I like to look at. And we can look at world status. And they're going to be way down here, of course, but only 39 in all of Australia? Oh, no, that's critical. 16,000 confirmed cases. Cases per 1,000 per million. Let's do it that way, shall we? I know that their numbers are I know they're better than the United States numbers, aren't they? In terms of number of cases, at least. Table. Okay. So Australia, cases per million people is 10, versus the United States is going to be like in the hundreds, right? 226. But now let's go to a place like Germany. How come in Germany it's 0? But that must be new on the day. Now this isn't the number that we want. Let's try this one. I always have a hard time finding good stats about this for some reason. Wow, look at how fast they came back down, man. I am going to be so happy if we get 28.5. World Health Organization. That's not what I want. Sorry for taking out. No, it's totally fine. Now I'm super. Now I'm interested to know what it was. Country by country data on confirmed cases. Okay. So here is. I can show you here. So here is the United States. Now this is like total cases. Yeah, let me back up. Hold on. I mean, I do have this like a good position in the queue at 28.5 here, but I'm thinking that I might not get that. The E-mini is still kind of, let's give it a little bit of time. Give me Australia here. There you go. See, so in Australia, you can see it increased about the same as everybody else, but then it leveled off at a lower number. Now they have a lower population, so that might be the case. But then since then, it's been pretty flat. Whereas in the United States, there's still kind of a little bit of an upward curve. So this is where I would say though that I would be careful about it's over. Like I, I'm not exactly sure why this was the case, although the most likely explanation is that we opened up early, right? Then that's why the United States experienced the second wave faster. But everybody's probably going to experience the second wave. So, yeah. Anyways.
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says Germany done really well, arguably handled it best in Europe.
Well, so Germany did have the best in Europe. That's
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says from an unbiased point of view from an outsider the US, Brazilian, Indian, Mexican, Spanish, French and Italian governments' response to this has been abysmal.
So you have a lot of those, but here's the thing: is that I would argue that we don't have enough information to say for sure yet. I want to wait. If we get to like next summer, it's all over. It's all over, and then we look at the stats and we say, "Oh, Germany did a lot better." Then we can say that. But until then, it's still like, yeah, but you get a second wave in Germany. Like a lot of the numbers that you have in the United States are really just because there's been more cases in the United States and we test more, but I digress, right? Then you're going to have to look at different kinds of statistical ways of looking at it. Because right now, if you want to look at the out of the number of people that caught it, how many died? That's really the thing that I think people want to know, right? But you just can't know that because you don't test everybody that actually catches it. So after the fact, though, you can kind of do these statistical ways of determining how many people actually caught it. And then we would be able to directly compare them a little bit better, right? As it is right now, most of the numbers that you're going to get mostly just reflect the fact that the disease has progressed further in the United States. And while you might be able to blame that on the policy, it might also be a good thing that we've had those more cases before the winter, right? Because I'm really concerned about what happens if you get your wave in the winter. That's when your hospitals are going to be all flooded and you get a lot of people dying. You know what I mean?
Kevin Wimmer says, man, it's fascinating how yesterday we closed at the high. It looked so bullish, and after the open it just kept falling and the Europeans just killed all the longs, lol.
It was really bullish yesterday, wasn't it? But I would like remember when we were talking about it, like the during the FOMC and the way that they were reacting in the FOMC, and we were like, well, there's no reason for them to be trading it like this at all.
Vlad Stolyarov says it wasn't bullish for me.
It looked like a trap.
Vlad Stolyarov says it looked like a trap.
Yeah, I don't know if it looked like a trap, but it definitely looked to me like people getting themselves overly positioned. But you still got some interesting dynamics going here, right? Because those FANG stocks report tonight. So, like, those are the stocks that have been doing the best, right? And are likely to have the best earnings. Okay, 30.5 is going back and forth a bit. In order for me to get my fill at 28.5, we're going to need the E-mini to bounce here above the open, which I think it could do. Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says then you get stocks like KODKKNDI to distract.
Yeah. No, totally. You're totally right. It was like a retail induced mania. It was like they all saw the Kodak thing and all of a sudden everybody was like, oh, well, I got to make all these moves today. So you just get in that mode where it's like, you want to click. That's what's happening. That was what was happening to them yesterday. Now today, well, you can see they're still kind of fighting the short, to be honest. Wow. Interestingly enough, the cumulative delta in the E-mini is long, actually. It increased there on that open, even though they sold it. Can you believe that?
1,000 subs before the
Yeah,
end of
always.
quarantine says, can I respond to your last point, final time taking you off topic, lol.
We're totally fine with being a little bit off topic. So we can almost always pull it back to the market, right? I mean, we already have. But.
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says, so in regards to testing, we in the UK were testing 10,000 people a day, and finding 3,000 cases a day. Now we are testing 100,000 a day and finding on average of 700 cases daily.
Okay. Mm-mm. Man, well, watching the Twitter reaction to Donald Trump's tweet here is so funny because so many people think that he wants the delay. I don't think he wants the delay. I think he was just messing with you. But see, do I really know that? He doesn't say I would really like a delay, right? It's not in the tweet. It's an assumption that I'm making based on what I know about him and what he was tweeting before. And then those other people are making an assumption about their view of him, right? So we're both have this kind of flavored view of reality. And who's to say if which of us is right if either of us are? Donald Trump drug prices will soon be lowered massively. Big Pharma are advertising against me like crazy because lower prices mean less profit. When you watch a fake ad, just think lower drug prices. Okay, that's Donald Trump. Okay, I'm seeing a potential turn here in the E-mini. And when I see a potential turn, though, that often means that they're going to go and stop him out again. See, I'm not. I don't really. Well, I'm a little. I'm a little conflicted here because I don't know if they're actually going to come down to 28.5. I mean, because I really have no clue what the E-mini is going to do here. I think that they should have at least a push above the open, but I don't actually know how this turns out because it's kind of like this tug of war between we won't get stimulus and bank stocks. Now, it may be the case that they say not getting the stimulus by the end of the week isn't a huge deal because they'll just come back next week and they'll backdate the unemployment and it'll be fine and people will still get it. But I don't know. Okay, so there was a little bit of bullish action there, a lot of clicking and chasing, but still right at the open. 30 years kind of pulling down again.
$1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says we didn't have that problem in Europe. The governments paid the payrolls of companies. In the UK, everyone received 80% of their salaries, and obviously healthcare's free.
Oh no, I mean that's what happened in the United States. I so this is kind of a weird thing to me is I'm noticing, especially among people on the left on my Facebook feed, there kind of some misinformation about how different countries compared in their stimulus. The reality is that the United States dumped way more money. Like the effect that it's had on their currency has been much more dramatic. So the United States did do that. They extended your regular unemployment and then they gave you $600 on top of that, which for most of, well, not, I wouldn't say most, but for a really good portion of the people that can't work from home and are really affected by this, right? That's actually more than they made when they were working. Okay, my wife, she's on paternity leave and that qualifies her for unemployment and she's making more than she did when she worked, right? So they did that too. It's just you have to understand the way that unemployment in the United States works, right? Unemployment in the United States is administered by the states, and each state has their own determinants and qualifications for how they determine how much unemployment you get. For instance, most states don't have a way of looking at what were you making before. So they can't even come in and calculate, you should get 80% or 70% of what you got before. Now, the law that they have there in Congress right now is saying we should make that calculation, But until the infrastructure is there in place to do it, you're going to get paid, $400 a month or whatever it was. I think the Republicans were floating 200 and people wanted it to be back up to 600, right? So in that respect, in the United States, the unemployment that they gave, depending on which state you're in and how much you were making before, was actually more gracious than what they did in Canada and Europe. But I don't know about how long they had it extended for, because the whole thing right now is that what they initially plotted out for, was they extended it by like 3 months or something like that, and that's up. And now they're saying that's not enough. That now we need to extend it even further. Kind of have to wonder, how far do we actually have to do it? I don't know, because I feel like, well, you got to realize with the state that I'm in that we're mostly already open. Really.
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says in the UK we have low case numbers now and we still have the scheme lol. Winston's mom says here in Tennessee, it's based on previous wages. My son gets around $120 a week from the state. The extra $600 helped immensely because even when he can go back to work, he wasn't making that much.
So there was some stops there in the E-mini, but that they actually, the other correlated instruments didn't look that concerned. You see that? Look at that big old 30 trying to look all big and menacing. If they decide to trade into 30, I wonder. So this is a place where we really want to pay attention to how many contracts trade at 30. One guy is hit into it. Just noting it because they've been able to stack to 900 here now. Well, it's still not enough. I bet you that if they tick down again, then they'll be a little bit more aggressive about it. But first dog to test positive for coronavirus in the U.S. dies. Oh boy.
Vlad Stolyarov says bad idea to try to short here if you weren't short before. Vlad Stolyarov says they may reverse it here 3,225. Vlad Stolyarov says if it finds everyone trapped as short.
Okay, so now the 30
Live Action says watched some of Big Tech hearing yesterday, disturbing.
Yeah? I haven't watched a whole lot of that, to be honest. Well.
RJ Wheels says me too live. Vlad Stolyarov says technically SPY fills gap. Vlad Stolyarov says 320.88 under most stops.
They're at the weekly open. Now I'm just losing it all, man. I'm looking for a spot to get out at, and it's like I have to buy into it the whole way up, and I don't like that. I really should have gotten out here at 30.5, where the buyer's cost basis was. We could wait it out. They might come back down, and then they may be pushed through.
Winston's mom says I watched those also. I didn't realize Facebook bought Instagram.
You didn't know that Facebook had bought Instagram? The whole thing was they bought Instagram and they didn't do squat with it. They actually kind of ruined it, to be honest.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ slammed down.
Yeah, the E-mini's getting slammed down. The cumulative delta hasn't actually gone negative yet, though. Can you believe that?
Vlad Stolyarov says we going for stops.
Oh, they're well past stops, dude. They're well past stops. This has to be new orders coming in. Look at that.
RJ Wheel says a minute ago, Vlad, you said shorts trapped. Make up your mind, dude.
I don't know. Hmm. We 3203 1,000 trading on the offer. So now they're at yesterday's low. They do like to bounce around those areas, but this isn't really aggressive. Well, there's the weekly low is at 3191. Like to get through the 3190 area, and then we're talking about a real trend day, right? It would actually be incredibly damaging from a
1,000 subs before the end of quarantine says was nice talking with you guys. Hope you all have a lovely day.
Well, thank you for coming in and not being shy for being new. Dr. Burt's response to anecdotal evidence for hydrochloroquine on Fox News, Science, and Medicine has always been full of accounts like this. That's why you do randomized clinical trials. There's not evidence that it improves those patients' outcomes. But didn't we just have a new study that said that it did? This is where I'm on the fence on hydrochloroquine. We've gotten studies that contradict each other. And it was really weird how it was like we had a couple of studies that said that it was good, and they were all like super skeptical of those studies. And then you had one study that said that it was bad, and that study actually got retracted. And all of a sudden, it was like that proof that it was bad, right? It was just kind of sounds to me like somebody has an opinion about what the outcome is before they saw the data. Okay, so we're seeing quite a bit of a slowdown around 3,200. Secretary of State Pompeo said on Thursday the tide is turning in the U.S. dealings with China, saying there is international support for American policies. All of the index futures are getting crushed. The DAX is down 4%? What? Oh, the NASDAQ actually isn't that bad. The NASDAQ is actually outperforming. It's down negative 0.97 versus the SPX down 1.47. So almost a half a percentage point less bad. So that could make sense. They still want to be in the FANG stocks because they think the earnings are going to be good, but they're selling here today because of, not only positionings coming out of yesterday, but that we're not going to get a stimulus bill and that the economic indicators are leveling off. Oh, it's clicking a lot now. Do you see that? There's a lot of pressure on it. I'm still thinking about, when you were saying earlier, like longs getting stopped out and stuff like that. But we are basically we have breached the open for the week. We're basically lower than we've been anywhere this week. Any long that's still in is probably gotten out. That's a day trader at least. Longer term investors, different issue, right? So when I see it go down there like that, I don't think that is people getting stopped out. I think that those are new positions, by opening positions at the lows and expecting it to go further. And these shorts are a little overextended. Like 3208 is the cost basis. So no, how far can they go down here actually? Well, that 3190 is where I see it. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, so that's a little bit more encouraging of a buy. And that fact, that
Vlad
kind of looks
Stolyarov
like
says
buy the
oil
dip
down a lot
action.
too.
That looks like buy the dip action. We need to come over to our volume profile and start looking at the footprint. Okay. So we've had 5,000 trade at 3,200 and 3,201. So they are building a distribution zone in here.
Live Action says sometimes I wonder why I trade oil so often trades with market.
Okay, so they're bouncing before they really built a lot of volume down there. The treasuries are coming back down to where we were at 30.5. They came down back down there pretty easily, in fact. As the wise Jimmy Jude 13 says, keep eyes on crude. It's that drunk uncle at the party that if he gets bad enough can ruin the whole thing. WTI and Brent both down $1.50 and counting, broke through some key supports. You know what? Live Action, I think that in a lot of these cases, when oil and the markets have been going together, that the market has been following oil, not the other way around. And if that is the case, then oil is the one that you want to trade, right? Just a thought. I think that if you really, really understand oil, that that has been an advantage in this market. I think that one of the things that really um, hurt my edge on the way
Live Action
down,
says yes, especially Wednesdays.
yeah, especially when there's the oil report, I think that I would have been able to navigate this whole crisis a lot better if I had understood oil better. Because to me, it was like, okay, oil is down and that's causing like the plummet. It was just, I didn't understand what was happening. And so I just didn't do anything, just sat on the sidelines. But if I had understood what was happening, I could have just gone outright short and made quite a bit. So that's the way I would think of it. It's not that hard to be knowledgeable on equity indexes. You know what I mean? That's why everybody does it. The FEC, the Federal Elections Council Commissioner Weintraub says Trump does not have the power to move the election, nor should it be moved. No, of course not. It would need to be a law of Congress. Do you think he knows that? I don't know. He's going to come back out because it's kind of a trial balloon sort of thing. He's going to come back out and he's going to say, well, I don't think that we should move the election, but that's why I think we should get rid of the...
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell? Well, in a nutshell, I think that cryptocurrencies is very overvalued, but that the current trajectory favors longs. So I haven't looked at it today. I need to post my cryptocurrency notes because I think I forgot yesterday. But we've been up above 10K now, but 10K is kind of like the upper end of this range. So there's kind of this question about, are they going to be able to push further? But they printed a bunch of Tether to get it up here to 10K, and if they're willing to print that much, why wouldn't they do it again and push them up to 13, 15K? But if they get to 15K, that would be some of the most overbought levels that we've ever been in cryptocurrency relative to the transactions on the blockchain, and would be extremely likely, based on our own metrics, to create a crash, essentially. It would be in a huge bubble. But can you imagine?
Sunday Driver says crypto is a space that is rife with Momo trading schemes. Yeah. An unethical person could make millions in crypto.
Forgot what I was going to say now. Well, it would be quite disastrous to have another bubble pop here at key levels below last time's high with
Live
less
Action
activity.
Says I can just imagine fake news today going parabolic on that tweet, slightly smiling face.
Oh, they're already going parabolic on that tweet, dude. They all think that he's going to try and do it. The biggest response here is he can't do that. He doesn't have the power to do that. But it's not what he was saying. Go back and read this again. Read the tweet, okay? Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote? ? He's not saying, I think I can
Trump
do
should
it.
dissolve the US Congress and declare himself Caesar.
So he's not saying that I think I can do it and I'm going to try and do it and I want to do it. He's asking a question. Hey, Congress, maybe you should delay the election since you think that we can't vote in person. Right? I think that the Donald Trump guys probably have it right. He's
Dylan Van says
egging
he's
them on.
It, though.
He's egging them on. He wants them to make a big deal out of this so that people will say, "Oh no, we can totally vote in person. We don't have to worry about because let me back up. There's something that I don't think a lot of people understand. Okay. Mail-in voting so far this year has been a complete disaster. Okay. They've done this in a number of states where they had runoff elections and early elections and primaries and things like that. And in many of those places where they did mail-in voting or where it was largely mail-in voting, it was a complete disaster. It took weeks, if not over a month, to find out who was going to win in some seats. And a very large number of the votes were discarded. Something like 20% of the votes were coming in and were getting disqualified, right? So all of the politicos are looking at this and are saying, we can't do this. If we go in and we do an election and we really do it all mail-in voting with the infrastructure that we have right now, it's going to be a disaster. So people are already saying we can't do this. And Donald Trump is kind of playing to that, right? He's coming in and he's saying, we really can't do the mail-in voting. And if you guys insist that we just can't vote in person because it's too dangerous, then I guess we're just going to have to delay the election, right? Why is he saying that? Because he wants them to say, no. We'll vote in person, okay? Don't delay that. We'll vote in person. That's what he's trying to do, right? I think. Because otherwise, why would he put, question mark, question mark, question mark? It's an open question that he's expecting them to reject. I mean, come on. Do you really think that Donald Trump believes that if he said we should delay the election, that Democrats will go along with it and let him do it? There's no way. He knows. He knows that. Come on. Think a few steps ahead, right? He knows. He knows that it's not going to happen. He knows that it's extremely unlikely. He's doing reverse psychology, right? He's saying something so that people will say, no, it's not that bad. We can go and vote. Pandemic's over. You watch. Because the number of cases in the United States is declining. A month from now, when schools will open, 3 weeks after that, it'll be fine. And then after that, you will see the political situation, depending on how the school openings go, I guess, because there's a chance that the school openings just be a disaster. But assuming that the school openings aren't a disaster, then that political narrative is going to flip really, really quickly, right? And I'm sure that the Donald Trump administration is counting on that too. So you play this, you say, we should be able to vote in person. And then everything gets better, and then you say, for sure, oh yeah, no, we're definitely all, and everybody's going to agree, yeah, okay, we're all going to vote in person. It's not that bad, and we don't want to delay the election. Reverse psychology, I think. But how do I know that? I don't really know that. I'm making a lot of assumptions in there based on what I know about Donald Trump and what I think that he would do, or don't I? I don't know for a fact that that's what he's doing. But neither does anybody know for a fact that he really wants to delay it, right? They're all acting like he wants to delay it, though. It's kind of funny. Bulls need to hold 3190 today. I agree. Well, I'm not going to say they have to hold, but it will look really bad. Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says otherwise it will look very bad technically.
All those retail traders will be super spooked if they broke 3190. I personally, I don't know if it really, really matters in the long run, but would it look like a Head and Shoulders? I don't know about if I agree with that, but just look at this chart right here. Just look at this daily chart, right? Let's move it back to from the recovery. Here's this range that we've been in, right? Since when was the last time that we actually had a move where we moved back into a lower range? As it hasn't happened, right? Every time they've always held these, right? So now if you fail this spot, then you're into this spot. Then if you fail this spot, so then if they get below 3100, then it really, really looks bad technically, right? But like I told you, past performance is not indicative of future results. So I don't necessarily care.
Sunday Driver says truth is, it should be much lower. To be honest, what is going right to justify levels that are near all-time highs?
So good question, Sunday Driver. I think that my running theory right now is that the March lows were overdone and that company earnings have been relatively okay. And that 3,200 is a relatively fair value. We'll see here with Fang, but you realize that at the end of this week, that is like the majority of earnings. And have you heard this stuff about how earnings have been super, super bad? They haven't. Well, there's actually been a little bit more upside surprises than downside surprises. But margins have been compressed. Margins have been really bad. So that's one spot to keep an eye on. Yeah. So based on earnings, I think that where we're at is probably okay. But the question is, going forward, things are going to be slow. At best, you can say that we're going to hover around 3,200 for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do you think that my Facebook is getting triggered about it? $32.9. Worst GDP report ever. Yeah, and nobody cares now. Isn't that funny? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I got a bunch of people posting about this. What time is it? 8:17. So now we're in counter trend period time. I made a post the other day that was like, hey, you got a price action setup that I could backtest? And this guy was saying, if you have a 50% retrace of a candle and then go long with the stop below the low of the previous candle and the target based on ATR. And I'm like, this is perfect because there's no way that's going to work. But he seems super confident about it, so we'll see. So we'll see. Okay, so a little bit of fight there. Look at that buy. Ooh. Oh, what was that? Okay, so there was some really bullish action there, but then they flipped it back down. Hmm. Yeah, you see them push, 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 push. Even though the cumulative delta is actually still somewhat positive. Hmm. Yeah, man, that is busting through some stops too. My phone just buzzed. That might mean we're an alert. Something broke. I hope not. Oh no, it was just my wife. Cool. I will take care of that. Hold on a second. Wow, and they turn right back up again very quickly. Okay, that is really, really bullish. They just blasted right through that distribution area at 3202.01 area. Let's come back to the footprint. How much did it end up being? It was 14K. Yeah, this is probably going to bounce back up, guys. I already have a position on in the treasury, so I think I'm going to focus on that. But I could totally start buying it here. Like, yeah, 3205. And I think we could at least get to 3211, if not blast through that. It's pretty choppy, though. It's pretty choppy. Oh, you guys have made a bunch of comments, and I wasn't reading them out.
Winston's mom says, have you read about the mysterious packages of seeds that are arriving in mailboxes? All 50 states have issued warnings.
Yeah, and it was like a clear, like, obviously don't plant it. I don't know what that's about. That one's weird, huh?
RJ Wheels says never should have recovered from April lows.
Oh, I don't know.
Live Action says I've heard that before off 30 meters candle in trending market.
Oh, off of a 30-minute candle. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is he said any candle if it just does a 50% retrace and holds it. And I'm like, oh, I don't think that's going to work very well. Like, I'm sitting there like, Yeah, if I do it that way, you're going to come back and you're going to say that I programmed it wrong.
Winston's mom says cumulative delta floats. He looked at the sky and saw the white cumulus built like friendly piles of ice cream, and high above were the thin feathers. Winston's mom says of the cirrus against the high September sky. Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea.
Well, yeah, by the way, if you guys have, I want price action. So I've never took Al Brooks' course or Matt Pat's or any of this stuff. So I don't really know what would be like the quintessential price action setup. But if you guys have ideas on what is the quintessential price action setup that we can backtest, I would be very interested, because I don't think it works and I want to prove it with backtesting. Because price action is far and away the most popular. I literally see people on the subreddits every day now saying price action totally works, guys. These are some resources for it.
Winston's mom says I have read they think the seeds are part of an online scam. The seed were marked jewelry. Someone will plant those, it's inevitable.
Marked jewelry. Mysterious seeds. Let's see. All 50 states have issued warnings about those mysterious packages of seeds. Ooh, they're interesting seeds. The packages appear to be coming from China, according to the Department of Agriculture. Photos shared by state agriculture departments show packages marked with labeling from China Post, which operates the official post office service of China. Some of the labels also indicate that the packages contain jewelry, although inside is typically a packet of seeds in clear plastic packaging. They're aware of the mailings. It is not clear who is behind the packages or what their intent is, but the leading theory is that they were part of a brushing scam. When third-party sellers send people items they don't order and write glowing product reviews on their behalf. At this time, we don't have any evidence this is something other than a brushing scam where people receive unsolicited items from a seller who then posts false customer reviews to boost sales. Investigating. So it must not be that many people actually getting them. What should you do? Don't open the packet of seeds or plant them. Their origins are unknown. USDA is planning to test the contents of the package to determine whether they pose any agricultural or environmental risks. Oh, what is this big order I'm just seeing here? How long has that been there for? 31.5. 8/29/24, just barely showed up. We got some news coming up here. This is the natural gas report. Then 8K. That was an 8K. Yeah, that could be a flipper right there. That's interesting. So just to refresh what happened there, when they ticked up at 31.5, there was an 8K bid there at one point. It was somebody was stacking literally 3,888 contracts on top of it. Exactly. And then they came back down and only traded 2,000.
Sunday Driver says just in, Herman Cain died of coronavirus.
No.
Rest in peace.
What? CNBC now breaking former GOP presidential candidate Herman Cain dies after battle with coronavirus. Wow. Herman, I can't believe it. Shocked. He was 74 years old. He is probably the most prominent person to die from coronavirus so far, isn't he? At least in the United States. He was in the hospital for... Has he been around in the hospital for that long? I know it had been a while. I mean, I know I'd been seeing stuff for a while, but... E-mini is buying up again. Beating out the last pivot. Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, we're definitely gonna bust this. Interestingly enough, though, this time the treasuries aren't responding too strongly to it. This thing going on at 31.5 is... getting Florida numbers. Cool. Oh, I should say a member of our Discord got an internship at a prop trading shop. Congratulations. Okay, so now, did that move? I see it at 30. Yeah. So now I see 888 at 30. Do you see him? He's messing with us. Seen this sort of thing before. Are we seeing unusual ones on the other side? Maybe in the 30-year, there's that 12. I don't think that's significant. The 5-year, there's just at the high of the day. Don't know about this one. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Remember when Donald Trump nominated Herman Cain for a Fed appointment? So this is very interesting. The Treasuries holding here, despite pretty strong upturn in the E-mini now. I mean, they're not quite to the open yet, but I'd say that was a pretty strong upturn. We should be able to see it, right? No, not quite. Now we can see it. Walter Bloomberg tweets Trump campaign president is just raising a question on the election. Okay, so they're acting like they know what he's talking about. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I really need to be reading all of you guys' responses.
RJ Wheels says before Cain the most famous was the bad boyfriend actor in Crocodile Dundee. Mark Bloom shows how this virus doesn't kill affluent.
Yeah.
Octavius C says I looked at Pat's it doesn't work way to many trades in a day however I think Mac is profitable because he trade pre-market and is usually done by the open. RJ Wheels says Tulsa rally victim. PRT1 says I like Herman but the Fed. RJ Wheels says Cain was not able for that placement.
Probably not. Did he catch it at Tulsa? Burks recommends face shields in addition to masks to combat coronavirus. No, I'm not doing it. These goggles, these masks, I know. Sorry. I was down with the masks. We made some money on the masks. Face shields? Fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry for profanity, but this is just getting so ridiculous, guys. You can tell I was like, because I was hearing about Fauci saying it the other day. Now Burks is, I'm not wearing a face mask.
PRT1 says wear condoms.
If they start saying like, you have to have a face mask to go in the store,
says LMAO.
Screw that. It's so ridiculous.
Uzi Knesset says October headline, Dr. Fauci recommends killing yourself to prevent COVID-19 from killing you.
Where are these guys getting this crap from? When I was watching what Fauci saying stuff about it, the media led him into it. Like the media, stop putting these guys in front of the camera. You're getting like this is a PR. They're not trained in public relations. They shouldn't be talking to the media, in my opinion. Get a guy.
RJ Wheels says although there's a YouTuber who is up to 38 half-hour videos proclaiming Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have died. Not sure of his accuracy but have to respect his devotion. PRT1 says Smedia.
Do I have to go and get like a 3D printer now? Because my wife needs to improve her antiviral protection business, moving from masks to face shields. I would be willing to, here's the thing. I would totally, if people want to buy them, I would totally sell face shields, but I am not going to walk around town wearing that crap. Or like goggles. Dude, goggles would probably be more easier, right? I'm not going to wear you guys are kidding me, right? This got to be a joke. Where are these guys getting this crap from?
Uzi Knesset says I have a buddy who's been doing that. 3D printing face shields.
Do you see the Linus Tech Tip guys? They had like 100 of these things building face shields. Crazy.
Uzi Knesset says he was donating them to hospitals and first responders early on.
Mm-hmm. You know what I want to get into, though? I want to get into nuclear fallout protection. So, like, radiation detectors and, like, the clothes that are disposable. And, like, the full-on radiation, face mask sort of stuff. So that you don't breathe in any of the radioactive particles.
PRT1 says 3D print kiss my butt.
I mostly just want a 3D printer. I don't know what I would do with a 3D printer, but it sounds cool. You have any ideas what we could do with a 3D printer?
Uzi Knesset says sent you a pic of his shit lol.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me see. Oh, wow. Hey. Does he make money from doing it, or does he just have a lot of printers? That's way cool. I'm impressed. I want to do it now. I want to do it. I'd have to have something to do with it after the facials, though. Right? So once face shields are no longer a thing, what could I transfer my
RJ
business
Wheels
into.
says Anthony Weiner knows what to do. Uzi Knesset says he owns a 3D print shop and a pressure washing company to make money. He was doing the face shields well. For publicity, lol.
What do you print though? Because the only thing I can think of that I would print is like little kid toys or something. Maybe custom projects for people. I don't know. I didn't do 3D modeling. Oh, people want my diamond cells thing. I need to get on that. I think that I
Uzi
need
Knesset
to.
says he sells the printers and supplies.
I think that we need to get back to making a website so that we can make some of these indicators available to you guys, because the market depth tape in particular is pretty cool and I think is worth, I don't think that I will include the inventory stuff, but all the other stuff, let's do it. Let's do it.
Winston's mom says your face shields could be turned into diet aids for fat people who want to lose weight. The shield on the visor stops a hand from putting food in the face.
Wait, it was a serious question. If I start a face shield printing business, what do I transition to afterwards? It wouldn't be my business. It would probably be my wife's business. Oh my gosh, guys, it's crazy. It is crazy what she has done with the masks. The other day, somebody asked her, because she can print. She has like one of those cry cut cutters. It's a different brand, but that will print out vinyl. It'll cut vinyl stuff out, so she can print out these, like things that you would iron onto the mask, for instance. So there was a company that wanted them, and they wanted like 100 of them. And she's like, "Well, I really don't want to sew 100 masks." She's got material, but and so she was
Winston's
looking
mom
at
says
like
you could print a younger version of the person wearing the shield, and it creates the idea that the person is younger.
She was seriously looking at buying masks from China off of Alibaba or whatever it was, and then ironing them on. I don't know what she ended up doing, but and it's like, okay, so now we can transition over to face masks. Hey, sure, why not? But I'm not wearing it. I'm going to the store. I'll wear the mask, not a face shield. Stupid.
Winston's mom says you could sell the shields to gardeners when those giant hornets arrive from overseas.
Oh, that's a good idea. We could get into the murder hornet business.
Uzi Knesset says we can all just wear coffins. Total safety.
We all just, the only safe thing at this point is if we all just die.
Winston's mom says buying the masks in bulk and then glamming them up is a good idea.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what, though? The masks that she makes are better. Like the pattern and everything are better.
Live Action says those hornets are pretty big.
The mask that she has is way more comfortable, in my opinion. Especially with the ones who she puts bands that go around your head instead of your ear. And then you can kind of have the one that goes up this way and then the one that goes down this way. And so it keeps it on your face pretty good. And it's good. And she has good material on it too. per the CDC recommendations.
Winston's mom says you could add a cable line between two mask visor face shields and kids could talk to each other like walkie-talkies used to do. The cone of silence was the Get Smart version.
Is the man. When you should write a dystopia novel. That's what you should do. Because it looks like they're fairly balanced right here in the E-mini. The treasuries look fairly comfortable at 31, but I'm feeling there.
Winston's mom says you could get some packages of those mysterious seeds from China, turn the face shields upside down and use them as planters.
I'm really interested to find out what they actually are. They end up being some incredibly damaging plant.
Uzi Knesset says I read that it was a review scam out of China.
Pompeo says Justice Department can make a legal call on election delay. What? What?
PRT1 says swimwear.
I think you're wrong. Why would... Okay. Donald Trump, he triggered the liberals. It was kind of funny. Pompeo, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. I'm just, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. That one is too much for me.
Winston's mom says I have been writing a novel in my head for over 40 years. It once involved banishment to the Antarctic, but with global warming, Antarctica may be a vacation spot. Uzi Knesset says it's not global warming anymore. It's climate justice. Winston's mom says Mother Nature is not pleased with all of our redecorating. I've seen some astrologers revelationists floating a theory the Earth is producing a virus.
Of course people would say that. It once involved banishment in the Antarctic, but with global warming, Antarctica may be a vacation spot.
Live Action says I have a physicist friend say poles are shifting a natural occurrence.
Yes, they are. They are over the next 100 years. My understanding is that like 200 years from now, that the poles will be in like so much flux that you will basically see Aurora Borealis everywhere. It'll also increase cancer rates. Okay, so might get seeing another little bear run there. Treasury's ticking up again off of it. Buyer's trying to turn it around. Okay. That looks like that is going to make it pivot. The Hill new poll, Biden leads Trump by 9 points in Pennsylvania. Kayleigh McKinney. Herman Cain embodied the American dream and represented the very best of the American spirit. Our hearts grieve for his loved ones, and they will remain in our prayers at this time. We will never forget the legacy of grace, patriotism, and faith. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because now all of a sudden the left is going to pretend like they loved Herman Cain. Not quite a pivot. It was so close.
Winston's mom says NASA has an article on this. Magnetic pole reversal happens all the geologic time. Fascinating read. Thanks, Uzi Knesset. I have listened to DeGrasse Tyson talk about this, but from an astrology PT.
Yeah, it's the thing that makes it so interesting. So the reason that we have that it works this way is that, I can explain. You have the Earth, and you have lava flows, and they do this, right? They kind of churn. And that metal turning like that is what creates a magnetic field. So apparently, though, the flows kind of go through these cycles. And so eventually it will turn around and it will actually start going this way. And the poles will flip. And when the poles flip, that kind of weakens the magnetic field around the Earth. So you will get more radiation from the sun, so cancer rates will increase. Okay, so now that did confirm a pivot. We're still a ways away from the open. I don't know if they can really recover it today now. It's probably likely to just be an overall down day, but although maybe we've seen the lows of the day. Brent and U.S. crude fall more than 5%. Oy. Why is oil falling so much?
Sunday Driver says when the poles shift, our dominant hands will also shift. If you're right-handed, you'll then be left-handed. Weird, huh?
Where did you get that? No, real? I don't believe you. No, I don't think I believe him. Where do you get that from? Are you serious? That sounds... Hmm.
Uzi Knesset says lol.
I don't know how I feel about it. That sounds like bullshit. Why would the magnetic...
PRT1 says lol.
Why would the poles have anything to do with which hand you're dominant?
RJ Wheel says lol.
No, I don't think I believe him. I have to find proof.
Uzi Knesset says you trying to figure out whether or not that was true is a totally clippable moment LMAO.
Oh man. Well, you guys have never really tried to lie to me before. That's like seriously lied to me. I don't think you've ever done that before.
PRT1 says water. Flush right contents left.
Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to postpone November 3rd elections, but Pompeo is saying that Pompeo has
Sunday
the
Driver
authority.
says the electrical patterns in your brain will shift due to the polarity shift. Left brain activity will switch to the right.
Polar shift right-handedness. Is that... I don't think so.
Uzi Knesset says he's Googling. Winston's mom says I am glad you can't see me Googling this to find a source. Lol Sunday Driver.
I don't think it works.
RJ
that
Wheel
way.
says Trump will be emphatic. Biden will say people die so what?
I don't think that polarity has anything to do with your electrical patterns in your brain. Brain electrical patterns. Polar. Oh, there you go. Polar shift. No. Can humans sense magnetic fields? The scientist. That's it. That sounds like interesting. Let's read that. Research suggests that some people do indeed perceive magnetic fields a bit unconsciously. In response to a changing magnetic field, so-called alpha brainwaves, the background hum of the brain, quieted in human volunteers. Scientists reported yesterday. Well, if that changing magnetic field just makes your alpha particles quieter, then I think you're full of shit. Biden will say people die, so what? Are we talking about the polar shift, or are we talking about delaying the election? Hey, down tick. Now, if we can just get it to tick down 30.5, I think that we could have something going here. Because if buyers pull this out here above 32.15, then I think that a lot of shorts are going to bail very quickly. And let's try and remember, where did they put the 888? I was at 30. Okay. So that big chunk of orders that is there at 30 probably includes the 888. Oh no, it got pulled. Got pulled about 30 minutes ago. There hasn't been very many significant changes in the DOM since then.
Winston's mom says, for thousands of years, the Schumann Resonance biologic heartbeat of Earth has been 7.83 Hz, but since the 1960s, the Schumann Resonance has been steadily on the rise. Be honorall, that's interesting.
There was like a Nova documentary about the polar shift. And they actually go into, so the way they figured this out was these seismologists were tracking the magma flows underneath of the Earth's surface, and they built a model. And when they built the model, they saw this thing that was like, okay, when you play it out long enough, it turns into total chaos. And initially they thought, well, that can't be right. That can't be right. So they thought it was a bug in their model. And then they checked all of the math, and they found out that no, actually, it looks like that's correct. That should be happening. So then they started going out and looking for evidence of it. And they looked in, geology. They looked at like magnetic rocks that set during certain time periods when there should have been a change in the flow of poles. And they found that, in fact, that it had flipped. And that was how they realized that the polar shift was going to happen. And then they talk about how they actually can pull the model out and show you how it's going to happen, because it kind of slowly happens, and then when it starts to flip, you get like poles all over the place, and then it switches. Super interesting. And so if you have a compass that's, made now, and you keep it for 500 years, it will be backwards. In case it didn't make sense what we were saying. Well, okay, so a lot of volume trading at 30.5. So apparently these guys that were looking to hedge at 30.5 and 30 are serious. But so are these guys buying the E-mini, man. They're coming up on that open, man. They take out the open. If they beat the open, Florida smashes record COVID-19 death tally for third straight day. Yes. New cases of what matters, remember. Okay. Oh, you see it. They're getting excited. They're getting excited. The E-mini is, at least.
Uzi Knesset says as a Floridan, yawn.
Yawn. Well, you know that the number of deaths is going to increase, right? Yeah, because deaths trail new cases. And we've basically passed the curve a week or so ago in new cases. So it would make sense that for the next, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even, you're going to have the record deaths. The Hill tweets, Biden in April predicted Trump may try to push back the election, a suggestion the president's campaign dismissed as the incoherent conspiracy theory ramblings of a lost candidate who is out of touch with reality.
Uzi Knesset says deaths happen. More so if there's a pandemic. The only difference between now and any other year is, every time someone dies, I'll know about it.
Yeah. I keep going back to this article that somebody posted on Zero Hedge, that because the deaths and the new cases is information that's so available to us, we overvalue its importance compared to other metrics that come to us less often. And that it's a real problem because our analysis is getting skewed by the new cases thing, which might not necessarily be the most important thing. I agree with him. I feel like that our analysis is really incomplete. So let's see if Hot Air now has a story about this. Surely they would. Yes, they do. Who wrote it? Oh, Ed. Okay, cool. Because I was afraid they was going to be all up on it. I can't stand reading that guy anymore. I want to say I hate him, but it's just like it's so much speculation with that guy. I don't like him. Okay. For once, Donald Trump's allies and even a few of his critics have blasted Democrats and a handful of media figures for their baseless theories that the president would cancel or delay a national election. Joe Biden got ridiculed for saying in April, mark my words, I think he's going to try and kick back the election, somehow come up with some rationale why it can't be held, even though the law and the Constitution are clear that presidents can't do that. And then President Trump just tweeted it out. The best that could be said for this tweet is that Trump's just spitballing, which is what I said. But even that's an indictment of its own. Probably no president should just be spitballing a suggestion like this, not in public, not even in private, where it would leak to the press quickly enough anyways. The U.S. held an election in the middle of its civil war in 1864. We can hold an election in the middle of a pandemic, especially when the president himself keeps insisting that we can and should reopen for business. I don't think that he wants to delay the election. I think that he's trolling you. And now he talks about why it would be such a dumb idea. Yeah. Rather than recognize those impossibilities and leave it as a paranoid conspiracy theory for the left, Trump has essentially vindicated Biden and the paranoids. And for what purpose? Trump can't do what he's suggesting. Congress wouldn't entertain the thought for 1 second, and it won't work anyway for the reasons above. What could possibly be gained from tweeting out the absurd idea, other than perhaps distracting from bad GDP report everyone was more or less expecting?
Only half the states participated in Civil War vote.
It's such a bad argument that it
Trades
might
says,
actually
"Hey,
set back
kids."
legitimate arguments to avoid mail-in balloting. Trump just handed his political opponents and the media, but I repeat myself, a very big bat, and the beating won't stop until their morale improves.
RJ Wheel says, "Did you do better today, Ace?"
Well, that was a good description there at the end. They're right in that respect.
Ace Trades
It's
says
not
that
a
RJ Wheel,
tactic I would
yes,
use.
had a great day.
Good job, Ace. So you took that short, I assume. He really is giving the liberals like something to drone on about.
RJ Wheel says good.
Although, I guess one good thing is that they're going to spend all this time talking about
Ace
how he
Trades
wants to
says
delay
yes,
the election.
and gold seems to be the gift that keeps on giving.
And not talking about other things. I guess that would be good for them, but the whole thing is just cray-cray. Well, so far there's still a lot there at 30.5, and you gotta wonder how much they're gonna trade at 30. Because I think that guy was trying to do something. You took it in gold. Well, you're doing the right thing. That's not necessarily a trade that it's down, huh? I like to stick to the instruments
Sunday
that
Driver
I know,
says gold is down today.
I like to stick to the instruments that I know, but going where the money is at is the right way to do it, and the money is in gold right now. And when Owl talked about just deflationary measures, they dropped hard, and it looks like it's been continuing through today. And so once again, when we have a relatively negative day in equities, gold does not provide an effective flight to safety. Treasuries did pretty good though, didn't they? Well, they're up.
Uzi Knesset says off to run some errands friendos. Have a good rest of the day, hand waving.
Hey, thanks, Uzi. Have a fun day. See you tomorrow.
Ace Trades says I feel the same about instruments that are new to me, but gold seems to me that once it picks a direction, it tends to move that way for a longer time period.
I remember talking on the stream a couple of months ago.
PRT1
somebody was
says
saying,
don't forget shield Uzi.
Oh yeah, don't forget your face shield. No, I remember somebody asking, what is the chances that they delay the election? I don't know if it was here on stream or if
Ace
it was
Trades
on
says
the
it just
Ghost
seems
Squawk.
to work with the indicators I'm pitching for.
I gotcha. At least right now. 6,000. So is this going to be a 10K at 30.5? There's the open. There's you can tell when the index is happy about something.
John Smith says gold doesn't usually go against equities. It inflates more than stock prices, though.
Right? It's just so interesting because the average person thinks of gold as a flight to safety hedge. But from a day trading perspective, it does not behave
Ace
like
Trades
that
says
at
that John
all.
Smith don't know, don't care. Just want to get in and make money. Lol.
The issue with gold though is they can move really far on you. Like the slippage is where there's a problem, right? The slippage in particular, because it's a very thin market. Although I bet you it's not so well. We have it open right now. What's it like right now? Oh, we don't have it open. Do I need to? Let's see your database.
Sunday Driver says gold is a classic fundamentals play. I'd never day trade gold or silver.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And I wouldn't even necessarily try to hold like swing trade the gold futures either. Probably would be better to buy miners or gold or hold it personally.
Ace Trades says I'm only trading on 3 contracts in gold, in the room in front of everyone.
That's still a lot, dude. GC. Oh, why is it? Okay, well, let's just try and pull it up here again.
John Smith says crude NQ and S are all way easier than gold for me. I just have a hard time going short.
It's just too illiquid, man. 5? Literally 5. Some of these prices. 5 contracts.
Ace Trades says short signal in gold now at 1,954.7.
That short signal, that's 0.7, huh? Yeah, so do you see that? So let's just say that you had to stop at 0.7. You might have gotten 4 ticks of slippage there. There you go. Stexhammer taking the same take that I am. Drumpf is going to try to be a dictator. Say people who ignored the last 3 years and think he isn't just baiting his opponents. Agree. There's no way he thinks that it's a serious possibility. Well, 0.7 was a good catch. Do lows in oil and gold, they gonna... Now the E-mini is kind of... The E-mini did really like it when they got above the
Live
open
Action
there.
says I would be careful on that GC short. Ace Trades says that is what I am talking about. It's like printing money compared to S.
You think so? Anyways, the E-mini is coming back now, though. So I guess they're going to battle over the open for a while. And the Treasury is still just sitting here with contracts going into 30.5 and getting absorbed. Now almost 7,000. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look to me like gold is any more directional or anything. Are you sure that the reason you feel that way isn't just because you make a bigger profit?
Ace Trades says at Live Action not to brag, but that was $500 bucks I just picked up off the floor.
Yeah, because it's like $10 per tick, right? Is it? $10 per tick.
Ace Trades says maybe, or that it is so shiny and new, who knows?
Because one of the things that happens to people a lot is they'll start doing well and they don't realize that the reason they're doing well is because of the amount of risk that they're putting on. So that would just be the warning I would give you, is on your stops, you might get several ticks of slippage. So I'd be careful about that. Okay, 7K, they tick up at 31. Oh, that's right. We have a bill auction. Interesting. So I am actually taking on a lot of risks by holding this like this. But I think that they're going to want the interest rate on those bills to be a little bit lower because we had that big move up. I don't know if they're going to be that into those short-term bills. Well, I've never really paid attention to them before. It'll be at the bottom of the hour, so I think we might as well go for it. Hmm. 30-year finally ticked up there. Oh, but they take it down at 31. That was an aggressive take. He sold 3,000 and was there big sells on that? There was. He sold one order was 1910 and then they stacked 2,000 on top of it almost immediately. And as that happened, the E-mini turned around and started going for the highs. Ooh, there's going to be some stops up here, man. Like, they're already well past, like, the stop out area from the regular session. But from the overnight session, we could go all the way up to, like, 32.30. So, should be interesting to see when they touch that high. Oh, did we lose our text to speech? No, not yet. It's been lasting a little bit longer lately. I wonder what the deal is with that. I think the trade I think I would need more than 10 levels to trade gold. I would need rhythmic data. Okay. Well, since these are bill auctions, we're going to want to pay attention to the 5-year a little bit more, huh? There's the high. There was some stops on it. Not a lot of orders in the treasuries coming off of it, though. Tell you what, that move in the E-mini, that was a buy the dip if there ever was one. And I pointed it out right when it started happening too, right? Come back over here and look at the footprint in the E-mini. So do you see over here, this area right here, where there's 15,000s traded at multiple levels just around 3,200? When you see that, that is buy the dip, man. Literally every time that I've seen that during the pandemic, they've turned around. I'm not saying that it's always going to be like that, but that's been the pattern. Like if the conspiracy theory is that the banks are buying futures to prevent downside because they're being backstopped by the Federal Reserve, that's it happening right there. Oh, look at 30 half. U.S. Representative Rodney Davis. There will be no delay in the 2020 election. Congress sets the election date, and it should not be changed. It will be held on November 3rd as planned and required by law. Is he a Democrat? I don't know who he is. E-mini looks excited. Ooh. Ow. What was that? Okay, well, there was a big, huge, massive trade there. I don't know what that was about, but that's got me a little nervous. Italy to extend ban on firing workers to December 31st, says draft decree. That can't be it. That's good news. Okay. Got about 3 minutes to the auction. Oof. Two minutes. Okay. Ugh. Feeling a little sleepy now. 9:30 will be time to end after this, huh? Kids just got home and they're immediately talking about holding the baby. Oof. Okay, I'm not hearing anything about the auction yet.
Winston's mom says, a little sleepy, do you have some Gatorade or something sugary to drink? What's on your schedule for today? Do you have to go out and about?
No, I don't go anywhere anymore. We're in the middle of a pandemic, Win. Come on. I think I just had too much excitement today between Donald Trump tweeting about canceling the elections and Herman Cain dying and the E-mini going down and then back up. And it's just, that's all. I should maybe eat a bit more. I'm probably a little tired from my workout yesterday. Lots of squats. So I feel like my head is like, my brain is attached right here. And like this side is getting weak. And like at any second it could let go and my whole head would just be like, you know?
Live Action says you reminded me of that time when a foreign peep asked if you trade live and I said, sometime he's sleepy but is alive.
Okay, so 8-week is at 0 spot 095. Four-week was 0 spot 090.
Winston's mom says, and will everyone please take a quick second to hit like. Thanks, thumbs up.
Thank you. There's the E-mini going again. European close. So I'm sure that they could make a meaningful move up now. Oh, come on. I want to see them hit 30. That's all I'm asking. So let's see what happens let us see what happens at 30 before we have to shut the stream down. I want to know if 4,000 really end up trading there. E-mini on the edge. There you go. There's a new high. I didn't necessarily see a ton of stops on that one, but there was a lot of momentum chasing. I think they could still probably move back to 3230 area.
Winston's mom says on another channel note, Speculator Seth has a quick easy survey he would like everyone to take. It's about your trading habits because traders gonna trade. Lol, and there is merchandise.
Oh, I think yeah. I haven't been putting the link in the video description, have I? I've been posting it all over the place, so we have 50 responses now, I think. So I think I have enough to go on, see what I wanted to see. Oh, yeah, look at that. That is some stop running. I am really surprised the Treasury has not given up off of that one. Okay, well, I have to shut it down. Maybe after I shut it down, it will go and I'll miss it. But I think that, yeah, it is time to go. Thank you guys. 14 likes. Oh, that's so great. A lot of people sticking around later, which is great. So thank you guys very much. I will see you guys tomorrow. Friday should be fun. Well, tonight's going to be fun. But you're going to have some turbulent trading on Friday after all of the earnings and everything. So I will see you guys then. In the meantime,